While I was overseas on a business trip, an email from my parents appeared in my inbox. Its words hit me like cold rain. They told me they had sold my seaside villa to pay off my sister's gambling debt. And then, as if it were nothing, they added, "You didn't really need the house anyway, right?" I didn't reply. My hands were steady, but my heart wasn't. Instead, I filed a police report. There was one thing my parents didn't know. By the time the real estate agent contacted them, I was already standing on the villa's veranda. The sea breeze brushed against my skin, but all I felt was heat rising through my chest. My phone buzzed. Dad. A storm cracked open inside me. "You just did whatever you wanted, didn't you?" I said, my voice trembling despite how hard I tried to steady it. On the other end, I heard his breath, uneven, shaky. "Emily, I thought you'd understand," he said softly. "Your sister Olivia needs help. If we don't pay her debt, things could get dangerous. Families should support each other." A bitter smile tugged at my lips. The same line, the same excuse they'd leaned on my whole life. Childhood, always second place. My name is Emily Walker. Growing up, my parents adored Olivia, 2 years younger, endlessly fragile in their eyes. I was everything else. My earliest memory goes back to my 5th birthday. A bright red bicycle, my dream. I could still feel the sun on my cheeks that morning, my excitement bubbling. But then Olivia said she liked it, and just like that, my parents took it from me. "Olivia wants it. You're the older sister. Let her have it," they said. My gift became hers. And that was only the beginning. When I entered 1st grade, my teacher gifted me a new pencil case. Olivia saw it, wanted it, and within days I was told to hand it over. "She's still young," my mother explained. "She just wants what you have." Lessons, extracurriculars, every opportunity reserved for Olivia. Once I asked for swimming lessons. My parents shut the idea down immediately. "We're already paying for Olivia's piano lessons," they said. "And she'd feel lonely if you had separate classes." For Olivia, the world was wide open. Piano, ballet, painting. For me, the borders stopped at school clubs. Whenever I finished my homework and dared to relax, someone would call from another room. "Help Olivia with her studies." My parents attended every one of her school events but barely noticed mine. The day I won a race, 1st place, they weren't there. Olivia had tripped, cried, and that became the day's emergency. By 6th grade, when I was elected class representative, I didn't bother telling them. I already knew where I stood, growing up and growing apart. In high school, I worked myself thin, preparing for my dream university. When I finally got accepted, I waited for something. Pride, excitement, a hug. All I received was my mom's distracted voice. "Oh, that's good, but I'm more worried about Olivia's test results." That evening, she cooked all of Olivia's favorite dishes. It should have been a celebration for me, but the whole dinner revolved around my sister, as usual. Even Christmas repeated the story. Olivia opened expensive gifts. I unwrapped socks or school supplies. By the time I stepped into university, any hope of being treated equally had quietly evaporated. Then came Ethan, the captain of the windsurfing club. Calm presence, easy smile, a warmth I wasn't used to. On my first day of practice, I kept falling into the sea, salt stinging my eyes, throat burning. I was moments away from giving up when Ethan extended his hand toward me. "Everyone starts like this," he said with a gentle smile. "I fell all day during my first year, too." Those simple, honest words felt like sunlight finding a closed room. Windsurfing, love, and building a life. During our final training camp that year, dusk painted the sky in purple and gold. I was still in the water, exhausted, pushing to stand just once. From the shore, Ethan shouted, "Emily, the wind's shifting!" Something clicked inside me. Wind, water, balance. I rose. Ethan cheered for me with the brightest smile I had ever seen. Months passed. We fell for each other. After graduation, our shared love for marine sports turned into a business idea. My parents despised it. How do you expect to survive with something so unstable? My father asked. Olivia is struggling. You should help the family, my mother insisted. Olivia had dropped out of university, drifted between jobs, made mistake after mistake. My parents rescued her every time, calling her sensitive and misunderstood. Ethan, meanwhile, believed in me without question. If it's the two of us, he told me, we can make this work. And we did. From a tiny apartment with mismatched furniture, we built something real. Exhausting, discouraging, but thrilling too. A partnership with a small Australian manufacturer changed everything. 5 years later, our business thrived, and we bought our dream vacation home, the seaside villa. Sitting on a hill, surrounded by trees, overlooking the endless blue, Ethan took one look, leaned close, and whispered, "This is the one." My parents disapproved, of course, but their opinions no longer shaped my world. On our first night there, we sat beneath a sky full of stars, waves echoing softly below. "Let's grow old together here," Ethan said quietly. I believed him. The phone call that destroyed everything. 2 days after returning from a business trip, my father called. "Emily, I need to talk to you," he said, voice strangely controlled. "What's wrong?" "It's about the vacation home," he answered. "I've already sold it. The transfer will happen next month." For a heartbeat, everything inside me stopped. "What did you just say?" I whispered. He rushed on. "Olivia got into trouble. She failed an investment and now owes $200,000. "And what does that have to do with our house?" I shot back. "Emily, you barely use it," he argued. "Olivia's life is at risk." "Is a vacation home more important than your sister?" "That is her responsibility, not mine," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. "How did you even sell it without our consent?" A pause. Heavy. Telling. "I already had your signatures. The documents were prepared." "You forged them?" I breathed. Silence answered me. "This is fraud," I said, feeling the floor tilt beneath me. "I'm calling the police." He panicked. "Don't be ridiculous. You can't involve outsiders. We're family." "No," I said quietly. "This is a crime." The aftermath. An hour later, Ethan called. "Emily, are you okay?" I told him everything. My voice cracked, my hands shook. "I contacted the buyer," he said. "He's an old university friend. As soon as I explained, he canceled the sale." Relieved washed through me like air after drowning. Ethan arrived at the villa not long after. The moment he saw me, he pulled me into his arms. "You're not alone," he whispered. "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself." His gentleness broke something inside me, and the tears finally came. The next day, police opened a full investigation. My parents were questioned for attempted fraud. My mother kept calling. I didn't answer. A week passed. One evening, Ethan and I sat on the deck watching the sun melt into the ocean. The waves were calm, a kind of quiet that settles the soul. "I remember the day we found this place," he murmured. So did I. We painted the railings ourselves, replaced floorboards, renovated the kitchen. Every corner of this house held pieces of us, our laughter, our effort, our dreams. Ethan reached for my hand, squeezed it gently. "We're in this together," he said softly. "Whatever comes our way, we face it as a team." I nodded. My relationship with my parents might never return to what it once was. Maybe it shouldn't. Strangely, I felt at peace with that. This was our life now, our choices, and this villa was the clearest proof of what Ethan and I had built. Meanwhile, the police investigation moved forward. More details surfaced, things I hadn't been ready to hear. My parents had known the villa was jointly owned by Ethan and me. They still tried to sell it anyway. The forged documents weren't impulsive. They were planned. Carefully. Over the next 3 months, the truth unraveled piece by piece. My parents had forged my signature first, then practiced until they could copy Ethan's. When they finally felt confident, they used those signatures to create a fake sales agreement. To the real estate agent, they spoke with calm voices, steady faces. "Our daughter and her partner are moving overseas. They won't be able to manage the property anymore." They backed up their story with rehearsed answers, lies polished smooth. But the part that cut the deepest came later. My mother had gone around our neighborhood spreading rumors, ugly fabrications meant to hide Olivia's mistakes. "Emily and her husband drowned themselves in debt," she reportedly said. "We're doing everything we can to clean up after them." She was willing to wreck her own daughter's reputation to shield Olivia. During questioning, my mother finally broke down. Through tears, she confessed that Olivia had been caught in a fraudulent investment scheme. "It was just supposed to be $10,000, she sobbed. But before we realized it, it had become $200,000. They had emptied their savings. They had sold land. And when that wasn't enough, their eyes turned toward our vacation home." "Olivia isn't to blame," my mother insisted. "She was tricked. She's not as smart as Emily." Even the officer questioning her had reportedly fallen silent. My emotions twisted inside me. Anger, sorrow, disappointment, disbelief. How could my own parents sink this far? Then one day, Olivia called me directly. "How could you do this, sis?" she shouted through the phone. "Turning our parents over to the police is cruel." Her voice carried the same helplessness she'd always worn like armor. I held my anger back. "Olivia, do you understand what they did? They tried to sell the home Ethan and I worked so hard for. That's a crime." "But we're family. I'm really struggling," she cried. "How can you be so cold?" "It's time you take responsibility for your choices," I said quietly. "I'm done picking up after you." When the call ended, a heavy exhaustion washed over me, the kind that sits in your bones. Since childhood, Olivia had been wrapped in layers of protection. While I studied and worked hard, she wandered through life, cushioned by excuses. Her first debt came in her first year of university, a small loan of $3,000 from a finance company. Her reason? She wanted to shop for luxury brands. My parents paid it immediately. "She's just young," they said. "She didn't know better." 2 months later, she misused her tuition money, $33,000, spent on trips, clothes, indulgences. My father covered the shortage again. "Olivia doesn't understand money yet," they insisted. "It's only natural." Instead of teaching her, they protected her, and she grew comfortable inside that bubble. In her 3rd year, she abruptly quit university. "I can't keep up," she shrugged. She took a part-time job at a restaurant, met a regular customer, fell into yet another investment opportunity, and lost $38,000. When I confronted her, she snapped at me. "You wouldn't understand, Emily. You're smart. You always have everything together." Once again, my parents stepped in, begged her to leave the man, paid off her debt, sacrificed more of their future. And now, years later, she had fallen victim to yet another scheme. $200,000 this time. Their savings gone, their land sold. No safety net left. So they had turned to the villa. I remembered telling them long ago that they were spoiling her. My mother always shook her head. "Olivia is fragile. We must protect her." But their protection had slowly hollowed her out, leaving her unable to face the weight of her own decisions. When I started my business, my parents tried to block me. "Join a stable company," they insisted. "You need to support Olivia, too." But I had already stepped away from that obligation. Ethan and I were building our own life. Even so, my parents still tried to take away the one place that meant the most to us. By the time this latest ordeal unfolded, Olivia's debts, scattered across years of indulgence and irresponsibility, had surpassed $400,000. And every time, my parents repeated the same phrases. "Olivia isn't at fault. The world is too harsh. You're lucky, Emily, so you should help." Those words echoed in my mind like a cruel refrain. In the end, they hadn't just ruined their own stability. They had ruined Olivia's sense of reality and nearly destroyed ours. One evening, as Ethan and I sat on the deck, he spoke quietly. Maybe they never respected what we do, he said. To them, our business never seemed real. He was right. Selling the villa had been their way of rewriting our story, as if everything we built could simply be erased. But that's their problem, I said softly. They can't touch what we have. Ethan smiled, a gentle, steady smile that had guided me through so much. We had walked too far to be pulled back now, and the villa, with all its memories, felt more ours than ever. As autumn deepened, the waves grew taller, the winds colder. Wrapped in blankets, we often watched the sun sink into the horizon, sharing the silence. I knew things with my parents and Olivia would never go back, but that too was my choice. When winter approached, the final police report arrived. My parents were prosecuted and received a suspended sentence. They sent apology letters, but I didn't open them. Sometimes forgiving too quickly only opens the door for repeated hurt. A lesson carved painfully into my heart. A year passed. Through a friend of my mother's, I learned fragments of their new life. My father had been forced to resign. My mother worked multiple part-time jobs. Early mornings at a warehouse, afternoons packing at a food factory, evenings at a supermarket checkout. "Have you seen the Walkers lately?" someone whispered in line one day. "They're having a hard time." "She's gotten so thin," another replied. Their house had been sold. They lived in a cramped apartment on the outskirts of town. Their savings gone, their hope thinning. Relatives called me often. "Emily, can't you help them?" My answer remained the same. They must fix what they created. Olivia, meanwhile, hadn't changed at all. She met another man at a late-night hangout, fell into another foolproof investment. When my parents tried to stop her, she exploded. "I'm struggling, and you're acting just like Emily. Heartless. Why won't you help me?" But they had nothing left to give. My father worked nights as a security guard, barely resting. My mother hunted for discounted food to stretch their budget. People whispered that she had been seen crying alone by the roadside. Olivia only grew angrier. "This is all your fault, sis," she wrote. "You ruined everything by reporting them. If you'd let them sell the villa, none of this would have happened." One day, I saw my mother at a supermarket. At first, I didn't recognize her. Her once dark hair was almost entirely white. Her shoulders were small, slumped. She moved slowly, her basket filled with nearly expired items covered in bright discount stickers. When our eyes met, she turned away and walked off. Later, I learned my father had collapsed from exhaustion during a late shift. Even after the diagnosis, he returned to work as soon as he could, desperate to avoid falling behind on payments. Near the end of that year, I received an email from Olivia. "Emily, lend me $50,000. I swear I can fix everything. I just need one last chance." She had maxed out every loan, every credit card. With nowhere else to turn, she reached for me. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent my parents information about counseling and debt relief programs. It was all I could offer. Not rescue, but direction. A friend of my mother later asked, "Why didn't they see the signs earlier?" The question lingered in my mind, but this path had been theirs to choose. One evening, I stood on the villa's balcony. The sea rolled under a cold night sky. I let out a long breath. Ethan stepped behind me, wrapping his arms around my shoulders. "You're not at fault," he whispered. I nodded, letting the quiet truth settle inside me. I had made a difficult choice, but a necessary one. "I've been thinking," Ethan said gently, "what if we use this place for something more, something that helps others?" I turned to him. "What do you have in mind?" "What if we hold charity events here? Invite kids who don't get chances like this, children from tough backgrounds. Let them experience marine sports." My chest tightened, full of emotion I didn't expect. I knew what it felt like to be overlooked, to feel unseen, to grow up believing your feelings didn't matter. The idea of turning this place into a source of hope moved me deeply. "That's beautiful," I said softly. "Your parents only saw this villa as property," he continued. "But to us, it's a dream. And maybe it can be a place where other dreams begin." I took his hand. "Let's do it." Later that evening, we changed into our wetsuits and headed towards the shore. As I rode the waves, the wind brushing against my face, a quiet sense of happiness settled inside me. Yes, my connection with my biological family was gone, but I had chosen a new path, a healthier one, and that was not a mistake. Listening to the rhythm of the waves, Ethan and I looked toward the horizon. This vacation home would continue to hold our memories, and now it would also become a place of hope, a starting line for others to chase dreams of their own.